All right, let's just dive right into this, shall we? Welcome to the Explainer, where we are going to take the stress completely out of bureaucracy. Today, we're demystifying the New Jersey state ID process from start to finish. If the mere thought of dealing with state paperwork makes you break out in a cold sweat, hey, you are in the right place. We're going to break down absolutely everything you need to know to get your New Jersey non-driver identification card completely hassle-free. Now, you might be wondering, if you don't even drive, why go through the trouble of getting a state ID at all? Well, a state-issued photo ID is actually a vital administrative resource. Think of it as your key to accessing banking services, proving your age and identity, securing employment, participating in civic engagement, and of course, boarding domestic flights. It's essentially your passport to navigating daily civil and economic life with total confidence. So here is our roadmap for today. First, intro and eligibility. Second, choosing your ID type. Third, gathering your documents. Fourth, booking your appointment. Fifth, the MVC visit. And finally, number 6, renewals and FAQ. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, Intro and Eligibility. The eligibility rules here are actually pretty straightforward. Basically, you must be a resident of New Jersey and at least 14 years old, which, by the way, makes this a fantastic credential for teenagers. Now, the system does enforce a strict exclusivity rule. That means you cannot hold a valid driver's license from New Jersey or from literally any other state. If you do happen to have an out-of-state license, you'll have to surrender it. Oh, and here's a really brilliant little workaround. If you currently have a suspended driver's license, you can actually downgrade it to this non-driver ID. That way, you maintain a valid state-issued photo ID while you work on resolving your suspension. Moving right along to Section 2, choosing your ID type. Now, what's really interesting about this is how New Jersey creates a balance between social equity and strict federal requirements. Because you have a choice to make. On one side, you've got the standard ID. This is a totally status-neutral document, meaning it's accessible to residents regardless of their federal immigration status, and it does not require proof of lawful U.S. presence. But on the other side, you have the Real ID. This one is a federally compliant document that strictly requires documented proof of authorized lawful presence in the United States. Notice the distinctive star in the upper right corner? That is exactly how you spot a Real ID out in the wild. And this star is incredibly important because a Real ID will soon be mandatory for boarding domestic commercial flights or entering secure federal facilities. Well, unless you plan to carry your passport around everywhere, of course. All right, Section 3, gathering your documents. The quest begins. Listen, if you take away just one thing from this explainer today, let it be the number 6. To prevent identity theft and fraud, the New Jersey MVC uses a rigorous, tiered, point-based verification framework, and it's known universally as the 6 points of ID system. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole thing. Looking at the NBC's official requirements poster, I know, it can seem like a giant, complicated menu, but I promise you, it's actually just simple math. If you follow the formula and just make sure you fill the right buckets, you will easily hit your 6 points. Let's break that formula down right now. Okay, here is your exact recipe. Step 1, you need at least one primary document, something like a U.S. birth certificate or a passport, and that knocks out 4 points right there. Step 2, you need at least one secondary document, maybe a marriage certificate or a bank statement, to grab those remaining 1 to 3 points. Step 3, you need verified proof of your Social Security number, an ITIN, or a specialized affidavit. And finally, Step 4, you need proof of your New Jersey address. You just need one proof of address for a standard ID, but you're going to need 2 distinct proofs if you want that Real ID. Now, pay close attention here because the physical rules for these documents are incredibly strict, no exceptions. All documents must be original or certified copies with the official state or municipal seals on them. They must be unexpired or, in a few specific cases, expired for less than 3 years. Absolutely no photocopies and no laminated documents are allowed. Seriously, if you show up with a photocopy or if you're short by even a single point, the MVC will just turn you away. And remember, if any document is not in English, you'll need to provide a certified translation for it. Getting closer, Section 4, booking your appointment. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. Do not just show up at the MVC for your initial first-time ID hoping to pull a ticket and wait in line. Initial issuances are strictly by appointment only. Walk-in processing is simply not supported for first-time applicants. Don't do it. So, to get your slot, you need to visit the official website at njmvc.gov and access their Telegov scheduling system. Just select the option that says apply for a non-driver ID. Once you lock in your date and time, do yourself a massive favor and download Form BA-208. Fill this application out completely before you arrive. Oh, and if you're applying for a disability ID, you'll need to print out Form Class K and have it signed by a licensed physician before your appointment. All right, the big day is here. Section 5, the MVC visit. When you finally get to the desk, the process is actually pretty smooth. First up, you'll hand over your beautifully compiled 6 points of physical documents, along with your pre-filled Form BA-208, to the agency clerk for verification. Second, you'll take your biometric photo. Now, the MVC uses facial recognition technology, which means your full face must be completely visible from the top of your forehead down to the bottom of your chin. That said, if you have a medical or religious requirement to wear a head covering, you absolutely can. Just make sure to advise the agency staff before they snap the picture. Finally, you'll just settle up the transaction fee. And speaking of fees, let's talk about what to expect at the checkout counter. Currently, the fee for a standard or real ID is $24. If you're getting an initial disability ID, the fee is just $6. And the MVC is super flexible with payment methods. They take major credit and debit cards, personal checks, money orders, and of course, good old-fashioned cash. So the crucial point here is managing your expectations as you walk out the door. You will not leave the MVC that day with a hard plastic card in your hand. Instead, they'll hand you a temporary paper receipt. Your permanent high-security ID is actually produced at a centralized facility, and it will arrive securely via first-class mail to your verified New Jersey address in just a few weeks. Almost done. Let's wrap up with Section 6, renewals and FAQs. This is a major question we see all the time, especially for international students, scholars, or undocumented residents. What if you don't have a social security number or an ITIN? Well, don't panic, because the standard ID track is status neutral. New Jersey law actually allows you to submit a notarized affidavit stating you're ineligible for an SSN, and that clears the requirement entirely for the standard ID. When it comes to the long-term life cycle of your ID, maintaining it is pretty easy. Standard and Real ID renewals cost $24, and you can conveniently knock that out online. If you ever happen to lose your card, a replacement is only an $11 fee. Now, if you decide to upgrade a standard ID to a Real ID later on down the road, you will have to make another in-person appointment for that. And wonderfully, if you hold a blind or disabled ID, it is valid for life with absolutely no renewal fees required. As a quick disclaimer before we go, remember that bureaucracies are always evolving. Fees, point values, and acceptable documents are subject to change based on state laws. So your ultimate, most up-to-date guide should always be the official New Jersey MVC website. The whole process might seem a bit daunting at first glance, but armed with the right documents and knowing the steps, you can navigate it with total confidence. Go ahead and start hunting for those primary and secondary documents today. But, as you gather your 6 points, it really leaves you wondering, as our lives become increasingly digital, how much longer will we actually rely on a physical piece of plastic to prove exactly who we are? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy organizing.